Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Expanse, Season 4, Episode 3. I almost said Season 3. Got 3 on the brain. The episode's called Subduction, so full spoilers for the episode as always. First thing I'll bring up is we got a clarification in the comments last episode. We were talking about how far out the ring is, because we were talking about the message time for the videos. Yes. And we were saying that the ring being somewhere near Jupiter-ish, because that's where the belt is. This may actually be quite similar between that and Mars, and then Mars to Earth. However, we were incorrect. The ring's actually beyond Uranus. So if it's 6 hours to get to Mars, then I don't know, another hour maybe to get to Earth. I don't know.
Yeah, God.
I don't know. I'll ballpark you, but so. Yeah, so yeah.
To be fair, there was something in this episode that implied that it was a bit of a journey anyway.
Yeah, they said something took months. Yeah, it was like a long journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, we actually picked this episode up right where we left episode 2 off. With Holden and Alex out by the structure. Amos is still down there, kind of still staring after the aftermath of the shooting. Everyone's kind of distraught.
Yep.
All this is going on. So yeah, we'll start kind of, I think, with the base. The one thing we'll mention about the structure is that it seemed to set off. Alex later on called it a circuit that he hooked up. But basically, a very specific chain of lightning was hitting every so often in a straight line, essentially going around the planet, starting from the structure. It goes through the settlement. It only hits it in one place, but it's a scary moment, and then it keeps going and goes all the way around the planet to a set of islands somewhere.
Yeah, he mentions that it's going in set increments of time and distance.
Yeah,
there's always 13 bolts per discharge, which he mentions. There's 13 moons, so he's assuming it's linked to that somehow.
Yeah, and I don't know if the islands were like the direct opposite side of the planet, or if they were just somewhere more specific than that. But obviously, once it does that, obviously other stuff starts happening. We'll get to that later. But I mentioned the lightning because the lightning happens.
Yes, it happened
in the settlement, and kind of almost distracts everything. The team get on the comms with each other and kind of fill each around. And Holden just tells Amos to keep on top of things in the camp, and. That he does in a number of ways. So that's it. The lightning blows out the generator or whatever, right? There's a number on their electronics, and Amos is trying to help. Murtry is saying, "No one help them. Like, our team, no help.
Just leave them to fend for themselves. They chose to be here. They can do what they want."
Yeah. So Amos is trying to help. Naomi takes it upon herself to leave the ship to come and help. As an engineer, and she almost has an attack. Just try to go up the ladder to leave.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, this is clearly not going well.
Yeah, she rushes out of the med bay, takes a quick reading, then takes a shot, and puts her heart rate down, and it's like, all right, fine. But that was just one rung of a ladder. We got a lot more to go.
It was a pretty easy start, as things go.
Yeah. But she's out there, she's helping, she's doing doohickeys. She meets Lucia and her family. We find out Lucia's daughter wants to go to college on either the Belt or maybe even Mars or Luna. For whatever she wants to do, because Naomi did it in the Belt. But her family's like, no, you're staying here. We're starting a new life here. You can't just go back now. Like, we're kind of. Yeah. So we get a little bit of family turmoil there. But we have Amos at one point shorts out the thingamajig. I don't remember what he said it was. But he's like, "Hey, Naomi, you got any of these?" And she's like, "Nah, sorry, I'm all out." It's like, and he looks over at the I think it's the RCA, what they're called, the security team.
Yeah.
He's like, that's okay. And I'm just like, oh god, Amos, what are you gonna do?
Amos causing trouble. Never would have guessed that.
And he just strolls on over, like as happy as can be, goes to pick up a crate, and a couple of the guards are like, "Hey, what are you doing? We've been told to no one's allowed to touch it. It's ours." He's like, "But you're not using it." And he's like, "Put it down." So he drops it on his foot and immediately starts beating the shit out of 2 or 3 of these guys without much effort. And a bunch of them pull their guns, and it's only because his F buddy basically comes out. I've not got her name yet. It's Chandra.
Is it Chandra? Yeah, you're right.
Chandra, yeah. Joe, what threw me off? She has her photo on IMDb. She's got
The frizzy hair.
big curls. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't sticking out to me.
I was using Amazon's quite fantastic X-ray system, where if you just get to a scene where they're in, and you just if you're watching on the desktop browser, and just move your mouse over it, it'll pop up with everyone in the scene.
You know what? I recognise them now that I've read that. She was Robin in The Boys.
She was.
Yep.
Yeah. So while we're just talking about nonsense stuff here now, Amazon finally added the 4K version for season 4, so I'm quite happy.
Oh, it took a couple of days?
Yeah, it took a couple of days. I mean, we didn't watch one yesterday, admittedly, but so I don't know if it was there yesterday, but it wasn't there. It was at least late Saturday when they added it, or if not, sometime on Sunday.
Yeah, fair enough. So
I was checking because I wanted to watch the next one in 4K.
Yeah, so Chandra comes running out and stops everyone from shooting him, and she runs up to him because Amos just keeps walking. He picks up his thing, his box, and his generator. He's
like, "Do you want to get shot?"
Like, no, not really. Well, I mean, I do work for Murtry. I'm going to have to shoot you if you pull something again. He's like, okay, fair enough. Does this mean we're not going to be screwing anymore? Like, I mean, no, I guess not. I mean, like, okay, cool. See you later. It just keeps walking. Hell, that wasn't even the first Amos moment that made me laugh. But earlier on, when they're on the comms with Holden and that, he explains what happened in the camp with one of them getting shot. And Naomi's kind of pissed because he shot an unarmed man and whatever, and quite rightly. And Amos just casually says, "Oh, do you want me to shoot Murtry?" And Holden's like, "No, don't shoot anyone."
Classic Amos.
Oh, it's great. And of course, he gets everything up and running. And as he's doing that, he's leaving this little, hut or whatever he's in, little module. And Murtry's sitting in the corner. He's waiting for him, like behind a shelf. And he's like, "Hey, you attacked some of my men today." And he's like, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah. He's so casual about all of it, isn't he?
He's so calm. And what I love about this is that he's saying that he recognizes Murtry. He's saying he's recognizing him as a killer. And he says, from one killer to another, don't try any of this shit with my crew. Because, and Murtry, like, even at this threat, is like, hey, like, this is going to end with you and me bloody. And he's like, why not right now? I'm free. Yeah, like, and I think it does set them apart in the sense that, I mean, obviously, first of all, Amos has these people around him who kind of guide him morally speaking, so there's that. But even aside from that, this sets up Murtry as more of the coward between them, because I think Murtry's not refusal, but Murtry's lack of jumping in right here and now says to me he'd rather be more of a weasel.
I think it's also just the fact that Amos has long accepted what he is and who he is, right? He's pretty self-assured that he's a bit of a dickbag, and he's okay with that. Murtry, like, this might be the first time he's killed someone. I don't know, but Amos is.
I don't think so. I would probably guess not.
But either way, he's like, "Oh, you're just a killer," and he's like, you kind of dress it up and give yourself excuses, but ultimately that's what you are, and we both know that. But I don't think Murtry's kind of really accept that, because, like he says, he has to have these excuses of, they were threatening me, whereas Amos just doesn't. He's way past that.
I'm getting the impression that Murtry's really going to upset us before Amos eventually puts him down at the end of the season, and we're going to cheer.
I really hope so.
I think he's going to really upset us and do some nasty shit. I mean, obviously, he does some nasty stuff at the end of this episode, because there's a couple of the Belters who are kind of talking about making a sort of attack to sort of like gain control throughout. They try to talk to Lucia. Murtry even goes to talk to her under the guise of tightening his knee brace. And this is when Naomi comes in and yells at him for all the bullshit he's pulling. Oh, you want help from the doctor here, but like you're not helping with anything else. And that's when Naomi has, I mean, it's not a heart attack. But Lucia says she thought it was a heart attack at first because that's what it looked like.
Pretty understandable, yeah.
But he's actually got the whole place under surveillance. He hears a lot of these conversations, and at the end of the episode ends with him just gassing these people. They come running out. They've got a firing squad just standing there waiting to put them down, and he comes over and just takes that final shot.
Yeah, this is one where he's definitely going overboard, but they kind of brought it on themselves to a degree, right? In that they were plotting this attack and they were going to do something violent.
I mean,
as opposed to the first encounter, at the end of the second episode where it was just a baseless threat.
Well, now here's the thing though, like it doesn't justify any of this, because
No.
They had them down for the count. They didn't like this was again shooting without the need to actually kill.
Oh,
I
of
mean,
course, yeah.
the last person who pulls out a gun and starts taking shots, sure, okay, he's firing at you, whatever. But the way he kind of targeted them it was very malicious. It was very much going after them. Again, it's the dressing up and the excuses. He's looking for a reason to shoot someone.
Oh, definitely. Like I say, it's utterly excessive and overboard. But this is a much more justified excuse than before, I think, to himself. That's why I think he chooses to do it, especially after that conversation with Amos. It's like, no, this feels right to him.
So that's how we end the episode there. So this episode really sets him up as going to be a problem for the characters, because he kind of faces off against Amos. I don't imagine it's going to be long before he's actively interfering in what our crew is doing and maybe throwing a wrench into their works. So that goes on, and Naomi wakes up, and Lucia's like, hey, and this is something actually that we could have questioned had we had more time to think about it, but all these people are Belters, all these people who are down here on the planet, and she says, hey, there was 10 or so of us who, when we landed, started immediately having problems because they hadn't taken to the gravity meds as quickly as everyone else. Now, who knows how long they were taking? Oh, probably longer than Naomi was, for sure, because they were planning on coming here. But and she's like, Naomi, no, you have to get basically into orbit within a day or two. You're probably going to be dead, because that's essentially what happened before. A couple of the guys said, no, I can just fight through it, and within a day they were dead. So it's really setting the stakes up here of how dangerous it is for her to be walking around on the planet.
You just know that there's going to be an emergency sooner rather than later that she has to come down for.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where for some reason I was kind of thinking that she was better off on the ship, it was maybe better, but again, it makes sense that the gravity... I mean, I don't know if I figured that, the ship has artificial gravity, can they turn that on even though they're on gravity already? And have it be less impactful? I mean, it was stupid, but...
There's a logic to that thought process.
But I assumed that she was actually fine if she was on the ship still, and that's why they left her back at the ship.
Yeah.
But...
No, I think they just left her at the ship because it was... There was nothing strenuous there, for her to do.
Plus the med bay,
but
plus the med bay is like right there as well.
Yeah, but it was. I think Alex was thinking she'll be sat in a chair. Yeah. She won't be, doing anything, that will strain her body. This will be easy rather than it'll, make it easier because of the gravity.
Yeah. So, but now Lucia's like, no, you have to go into orbit. You have to get off the planet's surface.
Which, assuming she takes, the ship, then to do that, we're going to be out of commission of a ship should it be necessary immediately on the ground.
Yeah, and I didn't take any of this to mean that she can never be fine to be on a planet, just that they rushed the meds, they rushed everything, and
it'll take longer.
Yeah, it's going to take longer for her heart and all that to catch up and be there. So so again, solid stuff building there. Go over to Holden and Alex, and okay, yeah, the scientist. She actually she's doing readings after the lightning, and she's like, okay, I think it came from the structure. I'm going to come out there. I'll be there and whatever. How long will it take you to get there? And Holden's like, we're already here. So throughout the episode, they're kind of she knows they know more than they're letting on, but they're not telling her why they knew to be here. Or
yeah, you mentioned earlier the line that Alex said about what did you do with that circuit?
Yeah,
what did you switch on? And she's like, what? What was that? Like, no, we didn't say anything.
Yeah, he says it's a figure of speech, and I'm like, yeah, I'd call bullshit on that. So this lightning eventually stops, and then this small earthquake. They feel an earthquake. It's not super visual, but they feel like a little tremor, and something's happening. And all I can describe it as is it's almost like a structure, something that looks like the structure, right? But imagine it's the shark's fin from Jaws. And it's spinning through the ground like a drill, going through a pretty big distance of the planet before they put a stop to it. Because ultimately, we don't. And this is interesting. We don't get to see this conversation or hear it. Because Alex says to Holden, now would be a good time to talk to Miller. Because earlier on he was like, I don't know if we can trust him because he didn't seem to care that the settlement might get hit or that I might have been killed. But he's like, hey, you should probably talk to him because this thing is probably on path to the settlement. It's going to at least clip some of it, and he just sort of steps back and kind of turns as if he's talking to someone, and I'm like, okay, on the one hand, maybe he did talk to Miller, and he said, yeah, you can just shoot it with a torpedo and that'll solve it. And to be fair, it does seem to solve the problem for now.
For now, yeah.
Yeah. On the other hand, but as he was doing it, I was thinking, is he just pretending?
That's what I was under the impression of. I mean, again, this could be just them hiding the conversation from us,
Yeah.
but it's weird because we've always seen the conversation.
Is it
We've
because there's someone there who doesn't know he's there? Like they're sort of doing this thing where because OK is there, they're not showing us.
They could be. It really felt to me like he was looking around for Miller and then kind of kept up the act, and then was just, and he was like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to make an executive decision as as the leader. Let's shoot it.
Actually, at first I thought the impact did nothing, but it did stop spinning because it looked like it bounced off of it almost at first.
And again, I'm not sure if it did do anything or if it was just kind of a weird coincidence almost.
But it kind of sinks into the earth, like the entire our surrounding ground just kind of buckles and it goes in.
Yeah.
So I'm
There's
curious.
A couple of times as well that Holland's kind of he stops and touches the ground and you get the impression that it is thrumming, right? It's because we see it moving around this circle and it's it's spreading out like waves from that, and you kind of get that impression.
Yeah, you can tell
it's pulsing.
Yeah, this is a pulsing kind of feel to it. Yeah. So no, I'm obviously intrigued by what's going on here. So
yeah,
we'll see what this thing is. As of yet, I don't have a clue.
Oh, it's fascinating though.
And then obviously we'll go over to Avasarala, who is now got someone to run against. This Gao character.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, given that we had like Mao as a name, for multiple characters over a few seasons, like it's kind of cruel to give us Gao as a new name. Can I just throw that out there?
I mean, it didn't really bother me.
I'm going to accidentally call her Mao at some point.
Yeah, but you're terrible with mixing up names.
Shut up.
Even when they're not that similar.
Shut up. These are similar.
Yeah. Angela, Darlene.
Look, that's besides the point. So she's going to be running against, and there's a little bit of a little bit of dirt digging going on. One of her aides comes in and says, "Oh, we found that she's kind of skipped the queue on." I didn't even quite catch what it was they were saying. I don't know if it was her education or placement after education, but it was it's this waiting list that can take years, if not decades, and she got in there in her first week, which in Avasarala's no one's that freaking lucky. What the hell is going on? And it's like no, like someone high up essentially gave her a pass and said no, like so. She chooses to leak this, and it's worth mentioning when she looks at the poll, she has got a comfortable lead, as her husband puts it. Like,
yeah, you suspect this is all going to backfire, right?
Of course, yeah. That is the obvious outcome here.
Just on the husband, because we've got a little bit more of him in this episode, and we talked how he was recast. The dynamic does feel pretty different between them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think before, it was an older man who was much closer in age to what she is now it's this younger man, and I do feel the dynamic being different here.
He also feels more active in her career in a way that the other actor didn't.
Yeah, I think the other, he had a lot more like a kindly sort of gut thing going on, a lot softer, whereas I don't know, not that this is bad, I think it's still a pretty good performance, just very different.
Yeah, it's just different from what we had before, and we're just getting used to it. So
yeah.
But yeah, I know Avasarala was dropping F-bombs left and right because of course she was.
Yeah, they really went, well, we're on Amazon now, screw it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Gao comes by to hand in her resignation kind of officially, and she even comments, this is stupid to even have to do this little tradition, and Avasarala's like, no, we'll stick to all these things. So it's interesting. So that was basically it for Avasarala. Obviously Bobby did have some interesting stuff going on here because her nephew David is kidnapped essentially and forced to sort of work off the debt of the lab that was destroyed, and we meet the girlfriend's boss, this guy who, as an actor, I kind of recognized him and I couldn't quite place it, and it's because I'm used to seeing him with hair. Yeah, he's got his head shaved in this.
What's he been in? Because I felt like I was recognizing him, especially his voice.
Let me. You know what? I'll tell you. Let me just click on him again. Where is it? Right. So the actor is Paul Schulz, if I say that properly. And he was in the fourth Rambo. He was in Panic Room. He was in 24.
It's just one of these. He's popped up all over. Then
he was in the Punisher TV show, which you watched some of. Yeah, he honestly, with hair, I recognize him immediately.
Yeah, because I definitely recognize him vaguely, and I'm like, I've seen him in something, I'm sure.
Yeah, some episodes of West Wing, some episodes of this, some episodes of that.
Yeah.
An episode of Frasier. It's all over the place. But he got a new look, and he is kind of the boss, and he's like, hey, because she keeps saying, obviously, like, give me David back, and he's like all we want you to do, you've got access to the decommissioning military ships, you've got access to all those storerooms. All we want you to do is leave one open accidentally, and David can go home.
She's immediately like, what do you want? Because if it's weapons, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, she's very strong on her morals there. She's not wanting to do that. And he gives her a little data pad and says, no. Like, there's all the information you need. And she's like, why should I believe you? And it's, notably, when she goes to do this, she does actually do something extra. She actually goes and checks the items that they're taking.
Yeah.
And it was
again,
like,
making sure it's not weapons at first, right?
Yeah, it was like circus. I mean, it did say for a light beam, I believe, was what it said.
It was light beam type beam encryption. So it's to presumably to crack the encryptions of whoever's using those codes.
Yeah, so and she does actually make a point of taking photos. She has like this cool visor thing in her helmet, and she starts taking photos of the two guys who go in to collect them, and sort of keeps track.
We did miss a major beat between these two parts, though.
Oh, of course, I forgot that was before this scene. You're right. She goes, so she's on the way to work, and she makes the call to actually just turn and go to the police station. And I mean, this makes sense for Bobby. She's been so loyal to Mars and so loyal to like the book
to a fault, right?
Yeah. And she goes in and says, "Okay, the detective will see you now." And who's the detective? But the same asshole who just asked her to go and get the.
And she's like, of course you're a goddamn cop."
Yeah. So Martin explains, look, like Martians need this too, and like you're going to do this. And she even says, yeah, but because she brings up security cameras and stuff, hey, there's glitches all the time, implying that he can kind of take care of that there won't be any issue with that. And it takes a sort of interesting turn because he asks her to come meet him on one of the I want to call it a tram, but that's not the right word.
Yeah, train seems wrong. Tram.
I'm sure they called it something in previous seasons, and I'm just
monorail, kind of
monorail. Yeah, whatever. Transporter. So he meets up with her, and David's already back home. He kept his word. That's done, and he's got her there because he basically wants to employ her. It's like you're person of your skills and your experience. Like you could be very useful and make a lot of money. And she's like, well, I'm not criminal. Like, I'm not doing that. And he's like, hey, like, like all these warships, all this technology that Mars, because obviously since the first episode of the show, it's always been Mars has had the best technology. They've put so much effort into that they're ahead of everyone else. But no one's using it because war's over, and now this new frontier, this new place of dreams are the gates. That's where everything's going. And it's not that he wants to go there himself. As she points out, he's kind of just selling this, presumably to the OPA. Like he's selling this to other people.
Yeah, he makes point of going, I don't care about their political affiliations. Highest bidder, I'm sure, is all he cares about.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that he's trying to like sort of plead to the morality or whatever of her of saying, this is the future and Mars is going to change because of it, and you can be ahead of that. But at the same time, he is just making money, and he's not actually devout to any sort of.
To be fair, he never denies that either, though.
That's true.
Yeah, when he kind of gives her that spiel, and she's like, "Oh yeah," and you conveniently make a lot of money, and he kind of just sits there and is like, "Yeah, sure."
But it kind of hurts his sales pitch. If he's going to sell it to her on you're doing the right thing, it's kind of hard to swallow when that's not why he does this. Like,
no.
And other than having her as some sort of enforcer or bodyguard or whatever, like, what use specifically does he have for her that would make her feel that she is contributing to any sort of goal or like, whole thing that she feels that she's contributing to? Like, I mean, I'm confused. I mean, given we're only episode 3 of the show, obviously there's going to be more plot to this, so I assume something's going to tempt her.
You have to imagine so, right?
Yeah,
because it ends with him, when he's leaving, saying, "Oh, Mars needs more citizens like you," and I assume she's just gonna see some pretty shitty Martian citizens.
That, or she'll get screwed over again, or something, or whatever. Very interesting. I do. Let's be honest, when it comes to Bobby's scenes, like I'm enjoying them, but it's all about the countdown until she gets to beat them up, right?
Kind of.
Because there's a point where she says to him, "Next time you come for me, you better bring a gun because I don't want to kill an unarmed man." Like that. I mean, that's a badass line.
Oh yeah, and she took something to stab him with in case he wasn't going to give David back, and he's very aware of this. So I'll just see how far I can push you before you shiv me.
Yeah, he was very aware. He's very self-aware of that. So yeah, like it's intriguing so far. I'm curious to see where this goes, and does she go down the rabbit hole, as it were, or is this because I think I was making the assumption last week that this was going to be her fending off this kind of like force, right? And this has kind of changed the game a little bit, where no, now it's kind of about tempting her to be a part of something else, and does she take that? Versus Avasarala's offer, where this is made. Because I think Avasarala's offer, like, I almost felt like it might have been out of pity, like, oh, because she cares about her, she feels like she's been saved. Whereas this is she's been offered this based on her own skills, or at least she'll see it that way.
And I think what's interesting is again the way she's viewing it in context of Mars, because all of this is she is so loyal to Mars. That's part of why I think part of why she turned down Avasarala's offer, because no, despite the way they've treated her, she is still loyal to Mars. And and this guy's going, hey, Mars is going to have to change if we want to be at the forefront still. And I think she might kind of go in that direction of I can change Mars, I can help change the direction and make the planet and society, strong, essentially.
And the question
and stay
is,
on
like,
top of the game.
what does he mean exactly when he's talking about change? Like, does he, like, are they actually forming some sort of group like the OPA but for Mars that is like a, that does have power because it has a body and because it will attack and because it will do whatever, or is it simply a case of trying to influence the place, the parts that are in place already? Like, I'm not sure.
I think it's interesting that we've always got the impression that Mars has kind of been run by the military, and maybe that's not entirely true, but it's always felt like that.
It's always felt unified. It's never, up until now, it's never felt like there's been opposing opinions on Mars, essentially.
Right, but now that it's peacetime, right? War's over. Why do you need a military in charge? Will that kind of, everything that we've seen, from Martians before this is, hey, look, everything we do is so that we can beat Earth. Everyone's contributing in their own way. Now that they're not trying to beat Earth, what's their goal? They haven't got that unifier anymore. That's where the splintering is going to come from.
Yeah. And hell, there's even a line from Avasarala at one point where for the first time in however long, like, Earth and Mars are finally at peace, and all anyone can talk about is leaving to go to these stupid rings. Like, we've finally found peace here, and now everyone's just like, let's just go to the new exciting thing.
Pretty much.
And she's better, but I can't wait to see her actually do like a public debate. Like, I can just see her losing her shit and like start dropping F-bombs left and right on stage.
Do you know, I know. I think I've seen some people going, they're just kind of going overboard with F-bombs because they can now. I don't know. Avasarala as a character just feels like she wants to drop them every other sentence anyway.
Yeah, I think it was sort of slowly ramping up throughout the show, to be honest. But by the time we got to late season 3. Well, admittedly, Avasarala was kind of missing for the last half of season 3, but if you remember the first half of season 3 when Bobby had her in the ship and she was like talking about how much she hates space, like, she was dropping F-bombs fairly regularly then.
She was, and she's always kind of felt like that, but now it's just like, it just feels natural coming from her, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah, no problems there. All the plot lines are for the most part intriguing me, and it's interesting that we have kind of a straight up human villain this season, in a way that I don't know if we've had, because we've definitely had opposing forces, and there was a lot of stuff with like Fred Johnson or even Dawes where there was coups and there was like allegiances shifting in that, but it always felt like, okay, they're kind of antagonistic towards our main characters and what they're trying to do, but in it, whereas Murtry kind of just feels like an evil dickbag, and like he's going to get in the way, and the only way we're going to get out of this is to put him down. I mean, I suppose we had we had like the evil doctor and stuff and whatnot, and obviously Mao himself, but like, I don't know, like he feels different. I think Murtry feels different. Maybe it's just the idea that all those characters before were like evil versions of like other characters we've had, whereas this is the evil version of Amos, which is an interesting concept.
It's kind of more terrifying in a way.
Yeah. So no, intrigued. But that is episode 3 of the Expanse season 4. We'll be back as soon as we can with episode 4. So let us know what you thought episode 3 in the comments, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. All that stuff helps us, as does of course rating the podcast on Apple Podcasts 5 stars. More people will find us that way. If you want to support the show financially, you can do that over at patreon.com/mailedfuzztv, and you can do that for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses, bonus episodes, bonus outtakes, that kind of thing, and there's a lot of things at the higher tiers. But it helps keep all the content coming and lets us devote our time to it, so go and have a look-see. Otherwise though, that is us, so thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?